One of the common worries in the current day and age is losing jobs to AI. And I get it. With all the fear inducing news going around it, it's normal to feel that way. And the fear of technological advancement making human labor obsolete is not new. But this is not the case. I'll show you why. History suggests on many occasions that technological advancements have not actually had a significant effect on unemployment. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate data driven proof showing this and also explain some of the economic theory behind why this is the case. We're going to test some of the fastest growing countries by productivity in the world to see what effect it's had on unemployment. Reason being, the countries with the highest productivity growth generally see the benefits of technological advancement effects the most. I think the results will surprise you. Just to be clear, in all experiments, we're going to compare unemployment rates over specifically age groups of 25 to 54 and specifically male. Why? Firstly, in terms of choice of age, research has shown that the age at which people get their first job is slowly increasing. So we have locked in an age group that Fred, the Federal Reserve of Economic Data, considers prime working age. Secondly, in terms of gender choice, females over the last few decades have rapidly increased their workforce participation rates. So, by keeping the test to males between 25 to 54, I'm simply looking to make a comparison over time that avoids any upward trends due to increasing female participation rates and lower trends due to increasing age of entering the workforce. Let's first take a look at the US as a test case. The US Bureau of Statistics provides a graph of labor productivity since the late 1940s, all the way up to the first quarter of 2026. Essentially, the productivity has improved over time because some of the largest technological breakthroughs in our history have taken place. And yet, when we line this up with the percentage unemployment, we see it's mainly affected by recessions rather than technological advancements. In fact, we see at the start of the 50-year period, unemployment started at around 2.3% to a current value of 3.9%. That's only a 1.6% increase in unemployment. You could also argue unemployment rate is also in line with most of the low points since 1979. Another interesting point is the trend we see in reductions in the unemployment seen to occur, funnily enough, during times of increased advancement. Take, for example, the launch of the internet to the public, which occurred at mass level at around 1993. And then for the next 7 years, unemployment dropped from 6.3% to 2.8% in March 2000. The increase afterwards was due to the dot-com crash and economic slowdown afterward, rather than any specific replacement of jobs due to the introduction of the internet. Now let's have a look at Ireland. Unemployment at 1999 started at around 5.7%, with an increase seen in 2008 due to the devastating effects on the job market. But we see now employment resting at about 4%, despite all the advancements in AI and cloud tech, for example, over the last few years. Moving to Australia, in Feb 1978, unemployment started at 3.6%, and now in 2026 is at 3.4%. And at the same time, Australia's labour productivity has doubled. As a last example, let's have a look at Germany. The Federal Reserve of Economic Data had a shorter time frame available for Germany, but still provides us great insight. In 2006, unemployment started at 10.7% and now has dropped to around 4% in 2026. So we have seen for the most part employment running fairly stable despite decades of tech advancement. Why is this the case? The Technological Forecasting and Social Change Journal released a brilliant article in 2023. I've also dropped a link in the description which reviews 127 peer-reviewed journal articles reviewing the impacts of technological change on unemployment. The article also goes on to explain key economic theories. Let's have a look at two of them. Firstly, technological change can increase the demand for labor by creating new tasks and jobs. One of the best examples of this is the transition of horse-driven transport to the car revolution. In the early 1900s, when cars slowly replaced horse-driven transport, it led to mass car manufacturing production. According to McKinsey Global Institute, a total of 7.5 million jobs were created in the United States through this transition, while only about 500,000 jobs were lost due to the decommissioning of mass horse driven transport. So let's have a look at how jobs might have been affected during this era. So while every horse rider, or known as a coachman in some parts, could be redeployed in other labor, like simply driving a car instead, you had a team of stable hands, trainers, and farmers producing feed who would no longer be required in the era of the automobile. Yet, rather than put hundreds of thousands of people out of work, the widespread adoption of the automobile made both delivery and passenger services cheaper and more commonplace. It also created the need for even more professional drivers than before. It also created the need for gas stations, auto mechanics, oil rigs, and the manufacturing of products that had never been necessary or thought of previously. Here's another example: the introduction of the electronic spreadsheet software. Beginning with VisiCalc in 1979, it removed a large number of clerical jobs but created so many more analyst and accounting positions. Compared to paper spreadsheets, VisiCalc freed users to change numbers without having to recalculate the whole spreadsheet by hand. According to a survey by Morgan Stanley over the period between 1987 to 2000, finance managers and analyst jobs jumped 150%, and accountant and auditing jobs rising about 15%, while at the same time bookkeepers and clerks were down 25%, many of them moving into either other administrative roles requiring human judgment or customer facing, and others upskilling into other accounting and finance roles. Here's another theory that will put those worried about unemployment due to the jump in AI more at ease. Adoption of new technology takes a considerable amount of time. Not only does it take time to adapt and integrate the new technology, there are human interests and broader cultural implications to contend with. For example, horse-driven transport to car-driven transport took 30 to 40 years. But some of you may be thinking this delay could be due to the level of technological advancement required at the time. After all, the invention of the automobile was absolutely revolutionary. Well, here's another example you probably didn't know about. Before cars ever came into the picture, firemen in the 1800s resisted transitioning from human-pulled fire wagons to horse-pulled fire wagons because they thought it would put them out of work. But in 1832, a cholera epidemic in New York limited the availability of firemen to pull these wagons, so they brought in the first fire horse. But due to general public unrest about the situation, horses were not used in commonplace again until about 20 years later. In reality, there was no logical reason for not deploying horses. They could not only pull more load, but they were much faster. And as a result, horses were much better at saving lives in a fire situation, with their ability to get to the scene faster, carrying more firefighters and a greater volume of water along with them. So, despite the benefit of horse-led wagons to save more lives, it took 20 years for their deployment. This is a perfect example where the use case was incredibly logical, but the cultural shift was the limiting factor. So imagine this: if humans resisted horse-driven wagon transportation, proven to be better for saving lives, imagine how long it could take companies to fully adopt AI with the current data confidentiality and security concerns. So will AI make you unemployed? Well, history suggests no. In fact, the US unemployment rate is pretty much in line with previous lows of the last few decades. Same with most other countries. If anything, recessions seem to have a higher impact on jobs than technological advancement does, with major tech advancements actually creating more jobs, not to mention the cultural delay of adopting new technologies, which actually slows the transition of this advancement in the first place. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please subscribe to The Experimental Economist.